Lines from the bottom of page Mem Vov. And the Rebbe explains primarily this whole ois, the principle that the sphirot, as they are in their origin, right, contained in the Ayin Sof, even though these are already as a sphirot, as we discussed, nonetheless they are so totally miyuchad, united with the source, with the Ayin Sof, that they actually have qualities of the Ayin Sof, like we said, the pshitus and so forth. So should the Gilui into the world come directly from the spheres as they are at that level, then world would not come to be, because world cannot tolerate, cannot process that type of pshitus. This is true, that's a spheres agnosis, and this is true in koiches nefesh, that is constantly parallel to this Inyan as a moshel to this. The koiches nefesh is the koiches hane'alomim. Koiches hane'alomim, the concealed koiches, are actual koiches of chokhmah and bina, but these are koiches that have not been affected by their presence in the world. These are koiches that are reflective exclusively of the nefesh itself. And therefore, from these koiches on the Ayinbase could not come an oir that what's called bebchinas oir pnimi, as we discussed. Oir pnimi means an oir that has a defining element. What is it about? So that this oil can be mislabish in kelim, can then be expressed and contained and presented in a keli, in a keli. What is the benefit of a keli versus the oil? If this oil is a oil pnimi, it's already an oil pnimi, which means it is capable of mislabish in kelim. What is accomplished? What is the advantage of it being in the keli? So this question we discussed a very, very long time ago. We didn't discuss it now at all, because the substance b'kelim over here is almost like a byproduct. Nonetheless, it would behoove us to focus in and understand what is union from kelim, the substance b'kelim. The principle of a keli is the keli literally belongs to the world, and it knows nothing but the world. Take a cup. A cup, so to speak, does not know that it has a use, that it was created for a purpose. The cup on the table, the cup sitting over there in the dispenser, have the same mentality, quote unquote. A cup has no sense, has no sensitivity at all, zero, as to what it can accomplish and what is meant to be accomplished by it. It's totally on the worldly level. The reason the cup stands is that it has a flat bottom, and it's put up on the table that is flat, and then there is gravity that keeps it down. That's how it stands. It doesn't stand on its own. Doesn't know what it means to stand. Doesn't know what it means to stand, how it means to lie. It means nothing. It holds water not because it holds water in kind of an intentional and conscious manner of any kind. It's a doimem, totally non-present cell entity. So what's so great about a keli? And the answer, of course, is the keli is totally part of the world. So if you take an oyer and you're able to formulate the oyer in such a manner that the oyer could fit into a keli, then you have this oyer in the world, really in the world. This is the principle of bringing oyer into the world. And this is how the oil can affect the world, because it's going down to the level completely in the other world, and there it's showing, look, there's a keli, there's a use to it. And therefore, and this is how the world itself assumes or contains and recognizes that there is a form, there's a purpose. How you use something. That is a very important objective in the creation. So that if the sphirot would be nimshach at the highest level, the true Iyar, the way it's a representative of the Ayin safe, it would serve no purpose. Because it would not have the principle of oil pnimi, and it could not be mislabish in kelim. You can establish himself in kelim who needs it in the world. That wasn't the actually we had 2 lines on the bottom, and I don't need to. Okay, and then another point is, which we discussed yesterday, in Inyan from his kalulus, that if the oil should be, would be the way it is in Ayin Sof, even though it is sphirot, chokhmah, bina, das, but they are totally imbued and bottled and united with the Ayin Sof, and thus the principle of his kalulus could not be affected there.
One more time. If the oils were completely bottled to the source, then
his kalulus, the principle of his kalulus, of interrelating different aspects, would not be present.
Because you would not have different aspects? It will just be
Because that's right, would not be different aspects. They're all pointing to the same thing. They all have the same thing in mind. It's not his kalulus.
right.
Like we discussed yesterday. Sure, you remember this odd type of emotion, right?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's an odd type of emotion, but it is a true, a real exposition of the Iyar. You have a table, we have a chair, and we have a chair that's attached to the table. Then there is no hiskalus. It's not two things coming together. When there's a table and a chair separately, there are two things. So there are two separate things. What would you prefer? That should be always together? No. You prefer that it should be separate, and then you, with your spirit and your seichel, you coordinate it.
This is the third type of iskalus. The one that the spheres before the tzimtzum is a third type, not these two.
So the principle of hiskalus would not be shayach in hiskalus, because hiskalus is shayach only in Hagbola. Two lines from the bottom. Asher lo yikach hoyo kavonas hamatzil elin baruch hu. Oy hoysa kavonas hamatzil. This was not in conformity with the kavanah of the Matzil Elyon, of the Supreme Creator Baruch Hu. Matzil means that who emanated. He brought forth, even though it's only an emanation, representing his reality. But he presented his reality so that it would be illuminating and be represented in world. Kavanah HaMatzil was not that there should be no distinct elements, and therefore the whole union of hiskalus would not exist. The Kavanah HaMatzil, the last line, the Kavanah HaMatzil who, where the Kavanah of the Matzil is Sheyiyah Bechinas Pnimi, that there should be the Bechina of Pnimi. Pnimi means he slapshus oiras bekelim dafka. But the oiras are so clearly defined that you can actually represent them in kelim. What does that mean? You can present them in kelim. You present that we discussed a moment ago. You present it in an element that is totally strange to it. They don't understand what this is about. And you put it in there. And it remains like this cup with water. The cup remains a dummy, totally unaware what it serves. And that is the way you bring water into the world.
And that's the setting for his colors. That's the inter-inclusion, that's the kavanah.
Right. This is how you bring water to drink. Mm-hmm. Because you can drink only in the water. In the world, if you jump into the lake and try to drink, you can't.
Right. The fact that the cup remains dumb, right, doesn't detract from this colorless.
Not only doesn't detract, that's the only way it can happen.
So it remains.
If the cup had its own mind,
that'd be problematic. So it's great that it remains unaware.
Not again. It's exclusively possible that way.
And then how is that his colorless when one party is completely
you take two things,
right?
You take and you coordinate them.
Even though
they don't coordinate themselves. They don't correlate.
And they don't need to know.
They don't need to know.
They can remain oblivious, and that's still his
exactly.
Okay.
Again, if the cup were aware that he's doing, he would say, "You want to take me? Wait a second. What are you going to do? Did you make a brach?"
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So too by the water, by the or that already has intelligence.
So too by the oil, except the oil, the oil has intelligence. The oil has intent. And the oil is oil pnimi. But this is the idea of oil pnimi. Oil pnimi has been so completely and conclusively defined that it can be put into a keli. But oil is an oil.
Defined here is saying it's not going to have a problem sitting in the cup and being in this form.
Defined means this water here in the cup is drinking water, not swimming water.
Yeah, and yet at the exact same time it retains its connection to its origin, to Ein Sof. Is that what Or does?
It represents, that's right, it represents water. But water narrowed down to be able to be into a keli, in a keli.
Mm-hmm.
Which is oil and keli, in keli.
Interesting. It doesn't object to its definition. I mean, that's the process here, right? It sort of becomes defined.
It does not object to its definition because thereby it fulfills its purpose. When you take a piece of land and you apply what's called urban planning, where you identify this is where the square is going to be, the house is going to stand, here's where the cross streets are, and this is how you get from place to place. You have taken a neutral piece of land and you have identified and you have limited it, so to speak. This is meant for walking. This is made to build houses. If I come to the city hall, will say, "You can't build a house over there. What are you restricting me for?" And the landlord might do, "I can have a house. He can have a house, and I can have a house." You understand the analogy there? The point is, this is the only way that this land can accommodate human living, which is its ultimate purpose. To accommodate human society, it has to have demarcated areas for dwellings, for business, and for transportation. In ancient cities, I think there are still such moments in the Middle East, in Israel, in Jerusalem, where to go across to go from one street to go across the street, you have to go through a house.
Not great urban planning.
Huh?
They didn't have good urban planning.
They didn't have urban planning in those days.
Okay, so what is the point with that?
I'm saying that's right, no urban planning.
Okay.
Rochav, we just learned in the Haftarah of this last week. Rochav lived, her dwelling was in the Chayma, in the surrounding wall of Yericho. All right. Let me just finish this. I'm going again to the two lines. The kavana, the matzil elyon, the supreme matzil, the kavana in the whole gilui was not that there should be no hiskalus. There should be only the one truth. But it should be different things. The kavana is a matzil who shigiya koi bechinas oipnimi. That there should be the bechina of oipnimi. Oipnimi means that the oil is no longer telling you everything, just telling you one message, one specific point. He slaps his oilis b'kelim dafke, and the oilis should be slapish in keli, because a keli cannot accommodate more than one point. That was the kavanah. The Iyar bechinas hishtalshelus v'hiskalus, and that will provide for the bechin of hishtalshelus, where things okay, we got you.
Daily.
Hishtalshelus, the chaining down, where a higher level enables and provides for a lower level. Hishtalshelus, what hishtalshelus means, to throw down, like a shalshel. If you throw something from a roof down to the ground, it's a shalshel. Because when you're in a higher arena, there are no restrictions. The closer to the ground you come, the more restrictions are going to be. So the Indian is that the kavanah matter should be established oilas b'kelim dafke. We begin his established with his kalulus. There should be his established and his kalulus. These two are very closely interrelated. Like we said yesterday, there's a table, there's a chair. They're two distinct entities. There is that which enables and which identifies, that level which identifies these two and provides for them that hishtalshelus. Once it provides hishtalshelus, then it brings about at the point where you say, oh, that reality that I had at a higher level, I can replicate it here, but here it's in different way. Then it is kalos. Then these two things have to recognize each other and complement each other. This is kalos. This kalos is when you're two distinct aspects that can be correlated, and they can complement one another. That's it.
That's it?
Huh?
That's it?
Yeah.